All right.
This is going to be a different podcast. Can you hear me all right?
I can. Can you hear me?
I can hear you perfectly, beautifully. I'm stuck in LA's beautiful traffic here. I'm having such a crazy day today. Why don't we just do the podcast while I'm stuck in traffic? What do you think about that?
No, I love it. Great. It will give us a challenge.
Okay. It's definitely going to be a challenge because I have 40 minutes till I arrive at my destination. So we're going to have to jam pack whatever we can.
I feel less bad about my setup now, so...
no, yeah, don't worry about it. I'm lighting myself with my Apple Watch right now, you see? Welcome back to Punch Drunk Nerd, the podcast where two friends, two amigos, are coming together to talk about nerd shit. It's me, Luis Gonzalez, on the road, stuck in traffic. I've had a busy life, but I am here talking to my best friend.
Ed Bull, from the comfort of his own home.
From the stable location, you know what I mean, where you are safe.
Yeah. So yes,
this is a dangerous one.
Luis is currently in traffic. He's leading the police on a merry chase.
Yes.
And maybe this will be an interesting one to watch on the YouTube channel. So look us up.
I think so. Yeah, exactly. I think so. It should be interesting. Yeah. Maybe this will be a hit, and we'll just have me driving around in the car, doing the podcast.
Like Jerry Seinfeld during his Netflix series. What is that?
Yeah.
Comedians in Cars.
Comedians in cars. Yeah. Nerds in Cars. We've rebranded this. We have a tight show, and I know we definitely want to talk about Godzilla Minus One. We both watched it. I was lucky enough to watch it. And then I saw Saltburn. We have some news, what we're into. Ed, do we want to talk about some news and trailers first, or
we got to talk about one big piece of news that the whole world seems to be talking about, and that is Grand Theft Auto 6.
Okay.
The trailer. I feel like we would be remiss if we didn't mention it. Now, you guys know I'm not a big gamer, but they released a trailer, and of course, it's stirred quite a conversation this week. But Luis, you got to see the trailer?
I did get to see the trailer. We were supposed to cover it at work the next day, and then it got leaked. And so we had to jump in, do an after show real quick about reacting it. The thing is like, I feel like Miguel should be the one to talk about it because I've never played the game, and I just bought the GTA 5 off of Miguel's recommendation when he was doing those Black Friday deals on that episode. Because I couldn't make it to that episode, but he was talking about the Black Friday deals, and I was like, okay, I'll get it. It's 2025 until the game comes out. I can play it, but it's got me hyped. Not playing it, me not really into open world games, to be honest. But maybe this might be my doorway. What's it called? My stepping stone. Your gateway
introduction.
Drug. My gateway
gateway. I think for Grand Theft Auto, gateway drug is more appropriate than any.
Yeah, it looks great. I love that it's in Florida. Yeah.
It looks trashy. I like how they are meshing gaming with kind of social media.
Yes.
That was an interesting take on it. And it just looks wild, man. There's a lot going on in this trailer, and it's got some people feeling like, oh, why are we going to Florida and yada yada. It's just fun. It just looks fun. When you add Floridian alligators into the mix, who knows what this is about to be.
I hope I can collect a bunch of alligators and sick them and use them as an army to attack people.
Or ride them.
You know what I mean? Ride them.
Yeah. Totally. So I mean, the trailer is officially out. Once they leaked it, they released it officially to get ahead of it. And yes, like Luis, I'm not a gamer, but I have played Grand Theft Auto, but only mildly. I haven't done the the open world gaming, or I haven't done any of the stories. I just go around shooting shit up.
Right. Yeah.
But, I think to each their own. I think any kind of Grand Theft Auto fan might have something to look forward to here. So, that's coming out not this year, not next year, but 2 years from now, I understand.
Yeah, 2 years from now. Miguel called it, I think. He said it was going to come out, 2025. And so, he's got his finger on the pulse.
He does, and that's why we keep him around.
We keep him around just for that.
I'm sure more details will pop up about this game over time, and when we have Miguel back, he'll be able to dive deep into more details.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, how about we move on to the next things that we made?
Let's do it.
All right. So we had a whole fuckload of trailers this week. I'm just gonna start listing them off, Luis, and you throw in comments where you feel happy, and we'll get that. Okay, so first off, we got Godzilla by Kong or X Kong, the new Empire.
How did we get here? Like, I remember when Godzilla 2014 came out, and it was just so grounded and so subdued and whatever, and now it's just gone to wacky town. At first, it took me a while to adjust, and I'm kind of reading the comments online, and they're like, listen, Godzilla can be wacky. If you see the old Godzilla stuff, it gets pretty wacky.
It can be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now I'm just like, okay, maybe it's just taking me time to adjust to this new world, but I don't know. I wasn't expecting for Godzilla to go into this direction. Do you know what I mean?
No, it seems like it's turned into like a buddy comedy kind of thing.
Yeah.
Almost like a team-up movie. Like, I felt like I was watching, Hobbs and Shaw or something like that. If we're going to beat this guy, we're going to have to work together.
And he comes out with the eyes. Yeah.
Exactly. So, no, I agree. Like, the 2014 one felt more grounded. Godzilla was more of a presence. And obviously the franchises, the American franchise specifically, is kind of, I don't know, deteriorated into this, like you said, more kind of silly Godzilla, fighting all the monsters. If anybody saw Godzilla versus Kong, that you kind of got it's the same kind of tone, same kind of vibes. And obviously they're leaning into that.
I feel like amped up, almost amped up even more for this. Like,
100%.
In my mind, I'm like, is this a reboot? Is this like a completely different take? It's like, no, these are the characters you've seen.
It's a continuation, yeah.
Yeah.
And from what I could tell, the bad guy is another Kong, just a different kind of Kong.
Yeah, I think he got like, he looks like he was like an orphan baby. Yeah. Because they showed like a little red tiny Kong guy. Right, and then he grows up evil or something.
Yeah. And balding, apparently. But
he doesn't seem too they're like, my God, what kind of evil person did this? And I'm just like, I'm still not scared of this like evil Kong. Like, I didn't get that in the trailer.
Yeah, and how does that get worse than like Mecha Godzilla or I don't know. I don't understand the threat. And then if that is the threat, then maybe Godzilla could just handle it on himself. But yeah, at the end of the trailer, we get this shot, if you want to call it that, of the two running towards the screen together. Yes. Like the portal scene from Endgame or something.
I don't know what it is with these running scenes. Like they did this in Transformers as well, and the new one. Yeah. And they're like running, and it's just like where are they? They're just like in a desolate, boring ass background. Like, just dull and lame. It's just like, let's design this up a bit. Why are they in such a desaturation? Yeah, why are they? I don't know. I wish. A lot of... Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, hopefully the next one, I don't know. If we're gonna go wacky, let's bring an alien down. Let's fly him down where they both really have to fight against us. I have something about like the villains being just like the anti-version of it, like, if there's a Flash and then the villain is another speedster, or if it's like Superman and then the other villain isn't a bad kryptonite person. Like, I don't want just like the same type of like the opposite of the hero. I want something completely different. If we're going to do this next time, let's go an alien, let's go something wacky. I don't know.
A real threat. Yeah, totally. Yeah. And you think about Godzilla, King of the Monsters, and that alien was supposed to be Ghidorah. And that was kind of underutilized because they threw in every monster in that film. But that would have been a great one for this one. like really lean into it, but also you kind of take away the cinematic weight of the characters when you make them, like I said, they're just like running at the screen. Godzilla has a new pink atomic glow to it, and Kong has a robotic arm or like a arm brace or something.
He's got the gauntlet. Yeah,
he's got the gauntlet. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, I can get, obviously we'll talk about it later, I can get excited for a Godzilla film, but as of now, like Godzilla versus Kong was like a nice bit of just dumb entertainment during the pandemic. But now I want them to take it seriously again. Yeah. And maybe, I don't know, after Godzilla Minus One, maybe they'll reassess. But yeah, so that's coming out this summer, to theaters.
All right.
We've got a bunch of others. I'm gonna, let's see.
I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be honest, Ed. These next trailers I really didn't see because either one, I didn't have time, or two, I chose not to because I want to wait.
Yes,
I know. Yeah,
to see it cinematically, right?
Yes.
I think that, at least one that you're referring to is there was a trailer for Furiosa, a Mad Max saga. This is going to be kind of like the prequel to Fury Road, looking into the early life of Furiosa, played by Charlize Theron, here played by Anya Taylor-Joy.
Wow.
And we're also going to have Chris Hemsworth as this warlord named Dementus. Right. And then we do get a bit of the Immortan Joe as well. I won't go into the trailer too much, but I guess it would be worth noting for our audience that there is a trailer out, and there is a Furiosa trailer coming out.
Are you excited about it, Ed? You're a big... I know you loved Mad Max Fury Road. So.
I adored Fury Road. I like Mad Max as a series. You always got to kind of be wary of prequels, especially after a successful legacy sequel. Yeah, you just hope that they stick to it and keep up that energy and that grandeur that was Mad Max Fury Road. So yeah, I'm hoping for the best. I'm cautiously optimistic. There wasn't really anything in the trailer that I didn't like per se.
Okay.
It does feel like maybe a little glossier, a little bit more CG maybe.
Is it George Miller directing this?
It's George Miller again.
Interesting.
And he's talking about maybe doing another one after this, not necessarily with Furiosa, but another Mad Max one to round out the story. So
how is Hemsworth?
He looks like he's having a blast, honestly.
Okay, is he being too silly, or is it being like, I don't know, does it fit the tone?
I think he fits the tone perfectly.
Okay.
It'll be, obviously Charlize Theron was incredible as Furiosa.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see what Anya Taylor-Joy does with it, in kind of like an action-forward role. But yeah, no, everybody looks like it feels of the universe of the Mad Max world. But I just hope it's not just a money grab, Yeah, so there you go. That's coming out this summer. After that, there was The Zone of Interest. Did you watch that one?
I didn't get a chance to watch that trailer, no.
Okay. It's still a bit of a teaser trailer. It's a German film about a family, a German family, the patriarch of which is essentially running a concentration camp. And he brings his family along for the summer, and they have their own house and what do you call it? House and garden and everything kind of blocked off in the middle of the concentration camp or right next to it. So you have this awful shit going on the outside of their world, and on the inside, it's like nothing is going on. They're gardening, they're swimming, they're having a summer vacation, basically. So it's going to be interesting. But this was a big hit at Cannes, and this is like one of the front runners at the Oscars this year. So that's why I included it, so keep an eye out for it.
Yes.
It's an A24 film also.
It's definitely on my list of movies to watch before we do our end of the year wrap up.
Oh, exactly. Tell me about it. So much still to see. And then lastly, again, we have to talk about it because we've talked about it on this podcast at great length. Season 2 of The House of Dragon dropped their first teaser trailer. I think it's just safe to say it was exactly what we would have expected. A lot of moody shots of people's faces, a lot of dragon action,
people flying, looking broodingly.
Yeah, exactly. Game of Thrones all over.
And
it looks cool. Along with this, HBO or Max rather released kind of like their teaser for the year, and we got our first glimpse of the Penguin show as well with Colin Farrell, House of the Dragon, and all their other properties they're coming out with.
Yeah,
so much to keep up with. But the Penguin I'm looking forward to, and House of Dragon, of course, ready to get back into that and see where it takes us. So that wraps up trailers. Any more thoughts on that?
I say we move on. Let's keep the train rolling.
Let's talk about the juicy shit. All right, Luis, we were talking about Godzilla versus Kong. Or by Kong, whatever you want to say. But what just released this last weekend in limited release was Godzilla Minus One.
Yes.
This is, of course, from the Japanese studio that holds the rights over Godzilla, and they this one takes us back to the end of World War II. So the Japanese have just barely been defeated when Godzilla shows up, and he shows up right away in this film, and basically following a cast of characters coming out of the war and trying to climb their way back up and against all of these terrible opponents, including Godzilla, who at first is kind of like a giant dinosaur, and then we see an evolution of his
when I first saw him come out, I was like, I'm not too impressed. Like, is this the guy we're really working with? Yeah. And then the story keeps going on, and it feeds off of all the atomic bombs that like the U.S. dropped. And because
testing.
And
then Godzilla comes back and starts attacking Japan and Tokyo.
Oh my God.
And so it is all in Japanese, but true to a Godzilla film, the story and the characters are pretty straightforward. But overall, I felt like this was, frankly, I haven't seen a lot of the Japanese Godzilla films, to my shame.
Yes.
But this is probably the best Godzilla movie that I've seen, in my humble opinion. Luis, I don't know about you, but we both got to see it in IMAX, right?
We did, yeah. Beyonce's Renaissance was taking up all the screens in LA. And I desperately wanted to see this movie in IMAX because, it's a huge monster and I want to see it on the huge screen. Luckily, I was able to watch it last night at IMAX on a Tuesday. Packed theater, Ed, at 9:30. At 9:30, it was packed. Everybody was, like you said, when you texted us and you were like, I'm with my people. And I felt the same way going in. Like, everybody was clapping when I think the Toho, like that logo of the studio coming up. People were into it. I've seen, obviously Godzilla, like as a kid, I saw it in the background, but I could never name which of those Godzilla movies I saw. I did see this other thing called Shin Godzilla, which I highly recommend. But this one, I went into it, and first I was like, I don't know about this Godzilla, but as the story went on, I was terrified of this Godzilla. There's a lot of great action sequences, one that is, there's a chase in the water, and that's like, wow, this is my Jaws. You know what I mean?
Yes. Yeah.
The way that it plays out, I'm at the edge of my seat. I mean, and to see the massive destruction that he lays, I was just like, gasped, like eyes open. I'm like, oh my God, we are fucked. Just they're able to showcase the power behind Godzilla and the surprise of his ability, at least for like new Godzilla fans like you and me.
Totally.
There was a shot that played out where I was like, I will always remember this shot.
I think I know which one it is. So the spoilers alert, by the way, to our audience, and we implore you to go out and check this film while it's still in theaters. It's having a limited...
we will try to be not too spoilery, but a little spoiler, yeah.
I think what you're talking about is when he attacks the city.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
so
bad shot.
They give, with the context of the story, it gives it so much more gravity. Yeah. When he starts inflicting all this destruction on the Japanese and their cities, having just, if you could even call it being recovered, but like the Tokyo bombings, Hiroshima, Nagasaki, all of those massive atrocities, and so you really feel the impact of his destruction in this. And like you said, who was it? Was it you that sent us that link from Reddit or Twitter maybe, where somebody described it as Jurassic Park in the first act. In the second act, it turns into Jaws. And then in the final act, it's Dunkirk.
I think, that's hilarious. No, I think that was maybe Miguel who sent that. But now that you tell me that, I can tell. Yeah, that's totally cool.
100% right. Because like as soon as that that ocean chase started, I was like, I see it now.
Yeah.
Like this is, and it's good. It's not in like a derivative way. It's like organic and it works
sets
well.
Up the stakes, or you really are like, how the hell are they going to get out of this situation?
All that to say, I mean, I had it like visually, like you said, they really throw you into who their Godzilla is at the beginning of this, and it's I wouldn't say jarring, but it catches you off guard at first because yes, it is smaller, but then they make up for it later, and then because they introduce it so soon, you find yourself just wanting more of him, and then when he shows up, cue the Godzilla suite and all of that. I love it. They really
the Godzilla suite. Let's talk about that. That played so well every time they put that on screen. I was like, yes, I'm here for it. Just
and I want more of it. And this is what is lacking in the American Godzilla franchise right now. They just to clarify, Godzilla is kind of the bad guy in this one. He's not like teaming up with anybody. He's not saving humankind. He's fucking shit up. Which is great. It's a nice contrast to what we've been having the last decade. But so I mean, it was awesome, and on the IMAX too, with that score, with the score and the sound design, his roar is terrifying, and unique to itself too. Yeah, and the design of the character, it's like a mixture of the retro Godzilla with more recent renditions.
It feels like a hybrid of a lot of things. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it was celebrating, I think it was like the 70th anniversary of Godzilla or something like that. And it really was an amalgamation of all that stuff. Like, because it's CG, it's not the person in a suit anymore, but it kind of brings that new Hollywood, but old Godzilla. It makes it scary, but it's still a little wacky with some of the characters. And, you know, even the set design is like a little bit stagey, like you can feel that it's like old Hollywoody in that sense, but in some way they're able to, find a balance. And I don't know. I think it's worth a watch for sure.
Oh yeah. Even if you're like a light Godzilla fan, this is like a really convincing and enjoyable way to get into this character.
Yeah.
And visually stunning. Like you were saying, like those images are burned into my mind.
Oh my God.
I think the only real issues I had with it was maybe with the lead actor. But I really enjoyed the supporting cast. I thought everyone else was
the
great.
Boat crew that he's
crew,
part of.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You got your like nerdy scientist guy, like we said. It is a lot like Jaws, the setup of it all.
Yeah.
And how they bring Godzilla down.
I had one major gripe with it, and it happens near the end, and I don't want to spoil the movie. And maybe we could talk about it later, you and me. But
please.
That's like the only thing that I won't spoil here, but that kind of like, oh man, but that's okay. Godzilla Minus One.
Godzilla Minus One. It's in theaters. They just announced today they're extending that theatrical run here in the States. to the 14th of December instead of this week.
Oh,
so,
nice.
If you haven't had a chance to see it, we implore you to go check it out.
I know.
You know, Beyonce can wait. Like, go see Godzilla. But no, this was like definitely one of the more enjoyable kind of like monster films I've seen in a while. So yeah, and it kind of sprung up on us. So I'm glad that it just kind of worked out well.
Yeah, I know.
Luis knows I had to go see it at 10:30 p.m. on a Sunday night just to catch on the IMAX. Thank you, Beyonce. And I got out one. But it is only like a 2 hour and 12-minute movie. It's not very long. It moves pretty quickly. And like we said, it really dives into the action right off. So Godzilla Minus One, check it out on IMAX if you can.
Yes.
All right, Luis, are we going to talk about Saltburn?
Let's do it real quick. Let's talk about Saltburn.
Okay, I've been bursting to talk about this movie for 2 weeks.
Let's do it. I know you have.
This is another one that I had a lot of fun with. This is from Emerald Fennell, who directed Promising Young Woman. She's back with Barry Keoghan as a kind of outcast at Oxford University in England in the early 2000s. And he gets invited back to this wealthy kid from school's, I guess you would say, mansion in the English countryside for the summer. And things go from weird to horribly awry. And without giving too much away, this is one movie where the less you know, the better it is. But also to try and explain it would just be off-putting at the same time.
I think that was the benefit of this movie was I actually knew nothing about it. And so every like 20 minutes, I was like, wait, where are we going now? What are we doing? And it was a different movie than what I expected going into it. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah. And it's wild. It's kind of fucking... It has some of the most fucked up scenes in the film that I've seen this year.
Yeah, a scene where I had to look away. I was like, oof, I don't know if I could see. You know what I mean?
There's a couple of moments like that, to be fair. So this movie definitely isn't for the squeamish, but if you can handle a bit of fucked up shit in your films, this movie will take you places. And I mean, what anchors it all though is Barry Keoghan. He is fucking fantastic in this film. I understand why this film is divisive, certainly. I just enjoyed the hell out of it. I just thought it was deliciously fucked up.
Yeah.
It's got a wonderful supporting cast of characters with like Rosamund Pike,
Josh Hutcherson, right?
Josh Hutcherson. No, that's not just a lookalike, right?
Yeah.
You got me. Carey
Jacob
Mulligan.
Yeah.
What's the dad's name? Why am I blanking on him?
Oh, I forget, but he's great too.
Yeah, he's great. But man, it just really takes some interesting turns. And for me personally, I love the ending, which we won't get into. But
yes,
the whole build up to the end and then the final scene too, going into the credits, I just thought was brilliant. I really loved it. It's definitely on par with like a lot of the Eat the Rich kind of theme films right now. But I ate it up. I really did. I ate it up as quickly as bathwater, you might say.
Yeah. Oh, God. Okay. I mean, that was one of... What I wonder why it was set in the 2000s.
I was wondering that too. Like, what is specific about that? Is it to kind of take away that, I don't know, would it be less believable if it was done with more modern technology? And
like having smartphones, able to record things, and
exactly, like people are more manipulative, and social media doesn't exist, and I guess a lot of these characters would be all over social media if it took place today.
I guess it does. It does like dirty it up a bit when you add social media. It's like, well, now you got to include that as a kind of a component into the movie.
Exactly, yeah. So I'm just guessing there. I was thinking about that coming out the movie. Like, what was the specific significance of holding it then? part of me thought like maybe that's just when Emerald Fennell was in college or whatever, so she related to it then. But I don't know, but for me, like, this movie just kind of solidified, and this is only her second feature film, but like, I'm very excited about Emerald Fennell and what she does next. And Barry Keoghan, for that matter, but we've already been on the Keoghan train for a minute.
I guess, I'll have to watch, you know, her previous movie.
You haven't seen it yet?
No, I'll watch that. Yeah, I'll watch that movie. When did it come out?
That was during the pandemic. That was 2020, I think.
Okay. Yeah, it's a wild movie. I mean, you know, I think not going into spoilers, we would like dive into it a little deeper, but you know, I don't know.
Visually, I thought it was great. The cinematography, I thought was gorgeous.
Yeah.
And yeah, again, that like just like Godzilla, this is a movie that has images that are burned into my mind. Like the funeral scene, without again giving too much away, but like fuck me. So Saltburn is still out in theaters.
There's so much like interesting, like not interesting, but there's just like the choices that this character makes. You know, it's like even though there is you in the end you realize like the end game of it all. But even with that in mind, you're still like, oh, you're also why this, you know? And so I guess it adds a little bit of kind of complexity to it.
Yeah. I think, if, you know, speaking in vague terms, I personally think he did love that guy, Felix, I guess his name is. I think he loved him. I think everything was just kind of reactionary on how it played out because Felix found out his secret. Again, trying to keep it hidden, but I thought it was interesting. But yeah, all right. So Saltburn, it's still in theaters now. Go check it out if you really want to just like watch something wild. I had a great audience too. Like see it with an audience. It's one of those gross movies that you can see with an audience. And again, it's been a little divisive, but I personally loved it. 2 thumbs up for me. All right, Luis. Is there anything you want to? There you are. Is there anything you want to touch on? You want to hear about? You want to?
Let's see. Touch on.
Can we get your initial thoughts on the Iron Claw?
Oh, yes. Okay. That's all right. So I got an opportunity to see the Iron Claw because Sarah, she is SAG and she's able to vote for movies for the SAG Awards and things like that. So, you know, when you're in the nominating board or whatever, they'll send you a bunch of all these screeners and opportunities to see the movie with the actors. So we saw Iron Claw. We also saw the cast answering a few questions. And initial reactions, I had a great time. This is definitely going to be on my top 10 movies. I don't want to talk too highly about it because I feel like sometimes that can sour somebody's experience going into it, wanting something big. It took me by surprise. I wasn't expecting a lot out of it. But Zac Efron, you know, I feel like we're going to talk about Oscar-worthy performances. I think he is somebody who's trying to, define himself as a more serious actor. And I feel like this is a stepping stone to that. I definitely, got emotional and teared up at some parts. And it's funny because I watched Napoleon and then I watched this and then I was like, yes, this is like somebody who is directing and taking their time to shape some visuals, somebody who's shaping the moments, the cuts. And, you know, it took them a long time, 4 years or I don't know how long to make this movie. And you can feel it. You can feel like the care in every kind of frame. And it's a family movie too. You know, it's about these wrestlers coming together and so you do get a lot of that like family bond being played out. Ed, how much of this movie do you know? Because then I can maybe speak to.
Very, very little.
Okay.
I just basically all I do know is based on the trailer that came out.
Okay. It does add a little bit of a pinch of like magical realism, you know what I mean? But I think that's used as a way, as like an interesting way to tell the story and visually showcase it.
Sure.
But they're having fun, really beautifully shot.
Yeah.
It's it's all about relationships and things like that. Yeah. So do things get sentimental? Yes. If you're not into sentimentality, like being sentimental, then maybe you may not like it. But I liked it. I'm looking forward to seeing it again to kind of like solidify my thoughts and views on it. But yeah, Iron Claw took me by surprise.
Cool. Yeah. I remember seeing the trailer, and that took me by surprise. Honestly, I was just like, "Oh, this actually looks pretty good."
Yeah.
I was expecting it to be like just kind of like a little indie film that got swept under the rug and went straight to streaming, but it looked, and I'm not trying to relate this in just wrestling terms, but it had that kind of visual look of the wrestler Darren Aronofsky film.
Oh yeah.
But like the kind of energy with A24 too. It was it looked endearing, and it looked like there was a handful of great performances in there. So I'm glad that seems to be the case, and I look forward to checking it out myself. And we'll probably talk about it again later on when I feel like Miguel wants to see this one too. So we'll be able to discuss it more down the line.
Perfect.
I guess there's one movie that I'm going to mention that's out right now. Try and keep it topical. I watched the movie Rustin today on Netflix. Yeah. You know which one I'm talking about, with Coleman Domingo? This is the Obama produced Netflix film.
Okay.
About Bayard Rustin, who was a civil rights activist during the Martin Luther King days. He essentially organized the Washington Monument March.
Okay.
In what was it, 1963 or something. And so, and it's directed by, I'm blanking, but it's directed by the person who did Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
Okay.
So anyway, so essentially it is just kind of like a run-of-the-mill biopic. I feel like Coleman Domingo's performance has been getting a lot of Oscar buzz, and rightfully so. He's really good in this. The movie just doesn't serve him as well as it could.
Okay.
It doesn't delve deep enough into the politics of trying to organize the march, though they do touch on little things. He was also a very open homosexual, so on top of being black, he had a lot of issues going on. And a lot of pushback even from within his own community. People were trying to get rid of him. But this is definitely kind of like a performance showcase. Okay. I wish the movie went deeper into the character and also leaned into the, Martin Luther King speech at the Washington Monument. They could have luxuriated in that a little bit more, so you could feel the victory that it was for the black community, and to some degree the gay community as well, even though it was still illegal back then. But Coleman Domingo, I mean, he's sure to get a nomination, I would say. I think Netflix, being a Netflix film, I think this movie might get lost a little bit and everything else, but it's a worthy performance for sure. I just wish the movie was more worthy of it, if that makes sense.
I think it's going to be tough because Netflix is really going to push Maestro, right? Like that's
Maestro
their
as well. Yeah, that's their baby this year.
That's their baby. Yeah.
But
and Apple TV, Domingo, man. Yeah.
Oh man, yeah. No, it's a fully stocked year.
Yeah.
Like you said, we got all kinds of movies kind of shaking it up a little bit. So who knows what's going to happen? But This is on Netflix now. It came out on Friday, I believe.
Okay.
So this might be one to look out for if you want to catch up on all of those performances. And it's a tight, I think it's less than 2 hours, so it's not a very long film. It's effective when it does work. And like I said, Coleman Domingo is so charismatic in the role.
Yeah.
In the character that I didn't know anything about whatsoever. And you have Barack Obama giving an introduction to the movie as well.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So yeah, no, it's very cool. It's very thoughtful. It just, it is very much a straightforward biopic where they kind of just cruise on through to the big event, and that's about it.
Okay.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Well,
so
nice to know that it's short enough.
Netflix.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And I have about, I don't know, under 10 minutes. And then I've arrived home. So any other last bit of discussion, that you wanted to hit?
I want to hear your quick thoughts on Wish.
Okay.
This is a movie we spoke about, the Disney movie we spoke about recently. Other than that, I don't have anything that's really pressing. You know?
I think Wish was, it was fine. You know what I mean? You know what? I felt like it was a rush job. It feels like Disney was saying, we got to do this because it's our 100-year anniversary, and that not everything was fully, like it was a first draft, or I don't know. It just didn't feel as fun. And then, Sarah was commenting on even like the characters in the background were just kind of still. Like there wasn't a lot of like kind of life and movement and things like that. And so I felt like it was fine, and might be played in the background again, but if I don't know if it's going to stand the test of time. Yeah.
No, this feels like one of those movies that got shooed in right before the Disney Renaissance in the 80s and 90s. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just one of those movies that people just don't remember much.
Yeah. Exactly.
So, well, I mean, that's about what I expected, but I was just curious to see if you had any further thoughts. I mean, that's about the same as me, frankly.
Yeah, I've also watched The Curse, which is the what's it called? Emma Stone and Nathan
Fielder.
It's and Benny Safdie, who directed Uncut Gems.
Right.
It's him and Nathan Fielder's baby, and it's not a reality show. It's a scripted show, but it's shot like a reality show, and it's kind of like, it can be a little bit off-putting sometimes, but it's using it as an effect. It's following these like HGTV home flippers that are trying to home flip for philanthropy, but obviously it's kind of all like kind of fake, but kind of not. Emma Stone's really trying to do some good, but at the same time they're trying to get views. And Safdie's just like a bad director who wants to record all the drama and the conflict. But, it keeps to that Nathan Fielder awkward weirdness that happens. The first episode, it definitely shows a lot of weird shit. I think it pretty much throws you into the deep end right away. And then as it goes on, it's not as extreme as maybe that first episode. I think there's 3 episodes out. I was into it, but now I feel like, where are we going with this?
Right.
So I don't know I'm hoping that this show is gonna stick the landing. Right now it's kind of hit this awkward, ominous vibe tone where I don't know. I'm trusting the creators and saying, okay, if this is what you want me to feel at this point, to feel a little lost, then
it's deliberate. Then
I'm down to go. But it kind of is like, oh man, I wish I could just binge this, because it feels very much like there's a lot of waiting. So now it's like, okay, if you're gonna put me through this kind of awkward waiting, then but it's shot really interestingly. Like I said, it's all shot like
mockumentary style almost.
Oh no, almost like hidden cameras. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay,
And so they will put the cameras very far away, behind the window outside, and that's why when I watched the trailer, I was like, is this a prank show? But no, it's just so it's an interesting way of filming. If you're a fan of Nathan Fielder and just trying something weird, check out The Curse on Showtime or on Paramount Plus.
I believe they have the first episode on Paramount Plus. I don't know if you can get the whole series yet, but okay. Well, yeah, good to know. I've been curious about that show, and knowing Nathan Fielder, I kind of expected it to have that kind of cringy comedy to it.
Yeah.
And they've definitely kind of tried to play that up in the marketing of it too.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what I do want to check out, just for the shits of it, because I generally do like Nathan Fielder. And Emma Stone is having a year too, so I'm here for that.
Well, Ed, I'm almost home, but I want to talk about next week. I know Poor Things is coming out.
Okay, so I already did my research, and Poor Things is not coming out near me. So I'm not going to be able to see it. I have to wait.
Actually, this works out because I don't think I'm able to see any movies this weekend either because, I have certain things happening and I have to stay home a little bit for this week.
Yeah.
So, okay, great. So then maybe we won't do Poor Things. We'll do something. Miguel hopefully will be back, and he can talk to us about everything that he's watched. But listen, Ed, I'm arriving home. I'm going to end it right before we get there. Ed, thank you for riding with me on this experiment.
It was a pleasure. Yeah.
I loved it. Will we do it again? I don't know. But listen, it's been me, Luis Gonzalez, and with me's been
Ed Bull.
And until next time, toodaloo.
Toodaloo. Hong Kong.